woke up yesterday morning and Mommy was gone. I never got to say goodbye. She was the best mom in the world. She always tucked me in at night. And sometimes she even let me eat cookies in bed. But she's in heaven now. It'll be hard growing up without her. I miss you, Mommy. Wait for me in heaven.
That was a close call. Next time could be the last time if you don't lose at least 20 pounds, Beth.
What happened next is painful for me to share, but God blessed me with the strength because it not only saved my life, it also saved the life of my wife, Beth, thousands of other women and men around the world, and it could save yours too, leading me on an unexpected journey to discover a breakthrough 7-second Italian herb hack from halfway across the world that's so controversial and so secretive you've never seen it before. And so powerful that in a matter of weeks, without any dieting or exercise, made Beth, a 52-year-old mom from Georgia, effortlessly drop 69 pounds of toxic, heart-clogging fat from her belly, hips, and thighs. Going from this to this, completely flattening her stomach and shrinking her waist so much that jeans from high school were too big and slid down her hips, and she turned in her saggy one-piece for a sexy bikini, relieving her nagging back pain while soaring her energy and confidence like she'd never had before. Her family and closest friends couldn't believe their eyes at the total body transformation that seemed to happen unexpectedly out of nowhere. And it wasn't just Beth. Her husband John used this Italian trick himself every single morning, waking up in complete shock after losing 11.7 pounds in the first week, plus another 22 pounds shortly after that. And in a matter of months, John lost 51 pounds of raw, embarrassing belly fat that hadn't budged for over 20 years. Yet John and Beth still ate their favorite foods every single day, like pancakes drenched in syrup, bread, pasta, donuts, even pizza, chocolate chip cookies, and ice cream. I know that sounds crazy, but it's virtually guaranteed with this simple Italian loophole you can do in seconds right at home. It has nothing to do with skipping meals, counting calories, cardio, keto, low carb, or doing any exercise whatsoever, and is the complete opposite of what you've been told when it comes to fast, easy, and effortless weight loss. If you have 15 pounds or more to lose and nothing works, just know that it's not your fault. The big food companies make billions keeping us fat, sick, and unhealthy. How do I know all this? Because I'm John Gates, Beth's husband. And in the next 2 minutes, you're going to hear from an undercover doctor who's been behind the scenes in the weight loss industry for over 20 years and sworn to secrecy up until today, as he finally blows the whistle on the real cause of your slow metabolism, stubborn belly fat, and how the real solution has been kept under wraps for decades, all based on over 313 clinical lab studies from prestigious institutes like the U.S. National Library of Medicine and the National Institutes of Health, where researchers identified a fat-burning enzyme that's been turned off inside you and everyone who's overweight, which is why it's been virtually impossible for you to lose belly fat no matter how hard you diet, how many meals you skip, or how much you exercise. The good news is the solution is so simple and so easy you've never heard anything like it before, and it works almost immediately. A simple herb hack from a little-known town in Ferrore, Italy that triples the amount of fat you can burn every single day, targeting your most stubborn trouble areas like your belly, thighs, and the back of your arms, and even your face and chin. This simple herb trick has been passed down from generation to generation in the Ferrore households where obesity doesn't exist, and everyone from young mothers to older grandfathers are lean, thin, and full of life and energy. And it doesn't just target every ounce of stubborn belly fat visible on your body. It supports a healthy heart, blood pressure, and blood sugar levels, not only saving Beth's life as well as mine, but also 77,982 mothers, fathers, aunts, uncles, grandmas, and grandpas who lost anywhere from 21 to 108 pounds when dieting and exercise had failed them for years. So it's virtually guaranteed to work for you. Like it did for Rachel C., who wrote in and said, "I lost 38 pounds. I finally feel comfortable in my own skin and I'm more confident. When my friends started saying how thin I looked, that's when I knew I was onto something. I feel amazing." Or Mark S., who emailed and said, "So far I've lost 44 pounds and my knees don't hurt anymore. My jeans are loose and I feel like a completely different person. Now I'm playing tag with my kids in the backyard and my wife and I started going on hikes together. I never thought that was possible a few months ago." And let's not forget about Janice F., age 49, from Chicago, who left a message stating, "I love having my confidence back. I went to a party last week and I used to hate parties. At over 215 pounds, it's not like I could easily hide in the corner or blend in either. Now I'm down to 139 pounds and I've had the time of my life." Or Paul T. from San Diego, who said, "My life has completely changed over the past 2 weeks. I dropped 2 jean sizes and finally have healthy blood pressure and cholesterol levels." And even Donna P., 79 years young, from Florida, who reached out to us to say, "I'm down 42 pounds and my hairdresser didn't even recognize me. It all happened so fast. The first 10 pounds came off so quickly, and before I knew it, I was out shopping for new clothes." I knew Donna before she got started, and her transformation is absolutely incredible. Every single day, we get hundreds of success stories just like those from people all over the world who use this controversial fat-burning shortcut to get rid of their belly fat, to look and feel years or even decades younger, and take back control of their body and their lives. This video is your wake-up call, your second chance, and your way out. It might not make sense to you just yet, but all I ask is that you relax, take a deep breath, and stick with me for another minute and try out this shortcut for yourself. You be the judge, because after sharing this secret with over 70,000 people and witnessing them lose 30, 50, even 75 or more pounds in a matter of weeks and months, I know it's virtually guaranteed to work for you. Beth went on every fad diet, from Atkins to counting points to drinking shakes for breakfast and lunch with a sensible dinner. She ruined her metabolism and thought she would never get it back. Everyone in her family is overweight and they passed their horrible genetics onto her. Plus, she's had kids and she couldn't even walk to the park down the street without getting exhausted. So while they played on the playground, begging her to come play with them, she would just sit on the bench, watch and catch her breath, feeling like the worst mom in the world, because she wasn't an active part in their lives. And yet, if she was able to lose 69 pounds after decades of failed attempts and dead ends, then I know this can work for you too. As I mentioned before, my name is John Gates. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a dietitian. I don't have a medical degree. I'm just a regular person like you. I'm lucky to be married to the woman of my dreams, and we have 3 amazing kids under the age of 10. And I have a full-time job as an EMT here in Atlanta, Georgia. But
my real passion is with the search and rescue nonprofit that I've been a part of for the last 5 years. We use trained search dog teams to find lost people and help out at disaster scenes. And while I spent most of my days helping others, I've never been able to help my wife. Telling this story is deeply emotional for me because seeing the love of my life struggling in pain just hits me right in the heart. But I truly believe that God gave me the courage to speak to you today. Because while Beth was on the verge of giving up and accepting a life sitting on the sidelines, watching her life pass her by, a higher power had a different plan for her, one that got to the underbelly of the weight loss industry and revealed the shocking truth about the obesity crisis in the United States. Why most people over 40 cannot lose belly fat no matter how hard they exercise or how long they diet, and the hidden culprit behind premature aging, chronic fatigue, and what's really killing your metabolism. Soon, you're going to discover the truth that will not only set you free, it can also melt away 20, 40, even 70 pounds or more of belly, thigh, and saggy arm flab that's been stuck to your body like an anaconda wrapped around its prey. I guarantee it's something you've never heard before, so stick with me because I don't know how much longer this controversial video will be up. And trust me, you don't want to miss this. Our story probably isn't much different than yours. We met, instantly fell in love, got married shortly after, then we had kids and our jobs got more demanding and our health took a back seat. A couple extra pounds here and there quickly built up and we started feeling more tired, lethargic, and unmotivated. It was a hard cycle to break. And then one morning I stepped on the scale and I weighed 254 pounds. For the first time in my life, I felt fat. It was like I was walking around in a bodysuit made for someone else. It just didn't feel like me. And I kept asking myself how I let it get this bad. Beth had our youngest child over a year earlier, and she figured the baby weight would start dropping since she wasn't eating for 2 anymore, but that didn't happen. She was 202 pounds, and her junk food cravings were only getting worse. My pants were getting tighter, I could barely fit into my EMT uniform at work, and doing anything active with our kids was like trying to climb Mount Everest. We finally surrendered and realized we just couldn't figure this out on our own. Everything we tried failed miserably, and we knew we needed help. So I booked an appointment with our physician, and he ran every single test under the sun, checking our blood work, hormone levels, sleep patterns, blood pressure. They tested our thyroid and our stress levels, and they went through our diet with a fine-tooth comb. Unfortunately, everything checked out. I was hoping there'd be some logical answer as to why we were exhausted all the time and we could never lose weight. But all the tests came back normal. I knew there was something deeper going on. I could feel it, but who am I to argue with a doctor? They gave us the usual advice to drink lots of water, try to exercise for at least 30 minutes a day, eat plenty of fruits and vegetables, and limit fatty foods. We were already doing all that, and it didn't make any difference. Beth and I left the doctor's office feeling defeated. He was our hope, and now we felt even more lost. As the weeks went by, things got worse. With all the stress and uncertainty of life, along with raising young children, we turned to comfort food, desserts, and Netflix binges to numb the pain. Before I knew it, I put on another 21 pounds and I could feel the youth being sucked out of my bones. We were starting to buy bigger clothes to cover ourselves up, and the stress was just overwhelming. We stopped having sex, we didn't go on dates, and she wouldn't even get changed in front of me because she didn't want me, her husband, to see her naked. The worse it got, the further we grew apart. And that's when I heard Beth on the phone upstairs talking to one of her girlfriends. Her words were just so haunting. "I still love him, I really do," she whispered, "but we're basically roommates, and that's not how I thought our marriage would be. We don't have sex, he doesn't flirt with me anymore. I feel like I'm his mom, just nagging him all the time. I don't know if anything can fix this. We might just be two very different people now who have grown apart. I feel bad saying this, but at night I want him to keep his clothes on because I don't find him sexy or even attractive anymore." My heart sank into my stomach. My marriage was falling through my fingertips. And then later that night, it happened. I was downstairs watching TV when I heard Beth yelling our son's name in her sleep.
Kyle, I'm right here. Let me out. What is going on? I'm alive. Get me out of here.
I rushed upstairs and woke Beth up from her nightmare. It took her a couple of minutes to realize what had happened. She was as white as a ghost. I'd never seen her so terrified and scared. I pulled her in and wrapped her in my arms until she calmed down, and she literally saw her own death up close in her nightmare. She felt the pain of never being able to see her kids again, the terror of falling asleep at night and never waking up. She could hear her son, her baby boy, giving her eulogy as he wiped away tears from his tiny little cheeks. That night, we prayed for a miracle, and from that moment on, nothing would ever be the same. So listen carefully, because what happened next completely changed both of our lives, and it will change yours too if you let it. The next morning, I had lunch with my friend Thomas. His friends call him Doc because he moved away after college to become a holistic doctor in Italy. We've known each other since the 3rd grade, and now he was back in town visiting friends and family. I've always sort of looked up to Doc because he was the valedictorian of our high school class, he was the top of his class in medical school, and he has this calm presence about him that makes you think everything is just gonna be okay in the midst of life's toughest circumstances. He told me about how he and his family settled down in this small little town off the Amalfi Coast called Furore. Furore is known as the town that doesn't exist, for its urban layout is characterized by scattered villages surrounded by terraced vineyards. In fact, only 776 people inhabit this small coastal town. Yet as small as it is, Furore is known for its rare and wild herbs and lush Mediterranean vegetation that you can't find anywhere else in the world, because it's located so far away from the toxic, harmful ways of modern society that pollute and kill our Earth's finest resources. As he told me about this magical place, I told him about my story, Beth's nightmare, and about how our marriage was crumbling, because we were both so unhappy with our weight that we didn't find each other sexy or attractive anymore. I felt hopeless, completely alone, and I poured all that out to Doc. He told me to send him my lab results and he'd take a look when he got back to the office. A week later, he called me and said the same thing as our physician. Everything looked normal. He had no idea why we couldn't lose weight. Then he gave me the address of a lab here in town and he said to go get a full-body MRI and the lab would send him the results. Beth and I had no idea what we were in store for, but I trusted him, and so that's exactly what we did. A few days later, Doc called back and I could tell that he was concerned.
John, both yours and Beth's MRI shows a hidden pocket of visceral fat tucked around your heart. This visceral fat is the most dangerous type of fat the body carries. Not only is it potentially deadly, but it's also the reason you and Beth can't lose any weight. Our research here at the clinic shows that women and men see a 400% increase in thick belly fat between their 20s and 60s. Just 4 pounds of visceral fat is enough to make a person metabolically resistant, and you have at least 30 pounds of fat stuck in there.
When Doc gave me the news, I was speechless. I knew I'd put on weight, but I didn't think I was in any serious danger. So I grabbed a pen and paper, starting to furiously write down notes because everything he said explain my situation exactly. According to Doc, fueling middle-aged weight gain is a phenomenon called metabolic resistance. It's when the body has a harder time breaking down fat as we age. Every single year, our body has to work harder to burn off excess fat. Now, most people think it's because they have a slow metabolism, but that's actually not true. According to the Mayo Clinic, it may be tempting to blame your metabolism for weight gain, but because metabolism is a natural process, your body has many mechanisms that regulate it to meet your individual needs. Only in rare cases do you get excessive weight gain from having a slow metabolism. That basically means your metabolism is not to blame for weight gain in most cases. My parents were cursed with a slow metabolism, and yet they've been thin and healthy their whole lives. And I know dozens of others who are the exact same way as well. Doc then said, if your weight is stuck, it goes deeper than your metabolism. There are thousands of metabolism boosters on the market today, yet obesity keeps going up and we're fatter and sicker than ever. The real problem is with your lipase, or lack of it to be exact. You see, lipase is the enzyme in your cells that breaks down fat. When your cells are full of lipase, your body rapidly starts burning fat, and all the extra flab covering your belly, your hips, your thighs, even the saggy, hard-to-lose fat hanging off the back of your arms, it all gets burned up for energy when your lipase levels are high, or even just normal. However, when your lipase levels are low, you don't burn any fat at all. It just clings to your belly and your waistline because there's no lipase there to break it down and then burn it off. Think of a wax candle. If you don't light it, the candle will just sit there. The wax will stay the exact same for months, even years. However, when you light the wick, the wax starts melting in minutes. You need the fire to melt the wax. It's the same thing with your belly fat. Lipase is the flame that'll melt it off. But if you never light the flame, your fat will never budge. Even worse, it'll get bigger, flabbier, and more saggy as the years go by. You need to light the wick, and that's what lipase is. When Doc started looking through all of our test results, he could tell right away that our cells were starving for lipase, and it's easy to see why. Beth and I would have 5 to 6 small meals a day, every day, like clockwork. It's what our local doctor told us to do to keep our metabolism boosted. And yet, when you're eating that often, even if it's healthy food like fruits, veggies, and protein, your body will not release lipase. You see, lipase is released when you're not eating after you've digested all your food. And since we've been on so many diets over the years, along with exhausting ourselves with high-intensity exercise, cutting calories, and obsessing over portion sizes, our lipase levels were at an all-time low, like a bathtub after all the water goes down the drain. According to Doc, you need to get your lipase levels back up, and when you do that, your body will start burning fat almost immediately, like jump-starting a car with a dead battery. It happens almost instantly, and that's the good news. You don't have to obsess over your diet. You don't have to exercise at all if you don't want to. You can stop stressing yourself over keto, low carb, plant-based, fasting, or whatever the next fad diet is to try. None of that really matters. The only thing you have to do is focus on this one thing, and that's activating lipase in your body. Forget everything else. I felt excited and angry at the same time. I was angry because looking back on it, I wasted so many years of my life listening to the so-called experts, obsessing over food, making sure I got my steps in, avoiding carbs at all costs. I said no to dinners with friends, family meals, even drinks after work because I was so worried about calories, carbs, and fat, it controlled my life. And now it turns out that everything was a waste of time. However, I was also excited because I could finally let all of that go. I didn't have to even think about it anymore. All I cared about was making sure my body was releasing as much lipase as possible so I could flood my fat cells, flush out all the extra toxic, raw fat from my most stubborn areas, and finally get the thin and lean body my wife and I wanted so badly. However, the problem was, I still didn't know how to actually increase my fat-burning lipase levels. It's not like you can just start eating different foods or exercise more. That has nothing to do with it. Then, Doc showed me an article from Forbes where scientists discovered a new way to triple your levels of lipase, causing you to effortlessly burn up to 3 times more fat every single day. Doc continued, "John, do you know why I moved to Furore? It's so small, at any given year they have less than 800 residents. Most of them are in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, and 80s, and yet they're all thin, lean, and even in near perfect health. It's like going back in time to the 1970s when everyone was thin and skinny. In Furore, you walk down the street mesmerized by the ocean, overlooking the peaks. Grandmas and grandpas look like they're in their 30s, holding hands as they browse through farmers markets. They're fit, full of energy, and look like they belong on magazine covers. So, what's the difference? They have the same food as we do. They don't grow exotic fruits or vegetables. There's nothing special about their health care. They drink tap water year-round. And since the town is so small, there aren't any gyms, health clubs, or juice bars anywhere. They don't exist. So what do you think their secret is, John?" "I have no idea," I said. "If they're in Italy, they probably eat a lot of vegetables and have an active lifestyle, right?" Doc responded, "Not really. Their lifestyle isn't any different than yours or mine. They just obsess over one thing that you've probably never heard of." That's when he dropped a bombshell that changed my life forever, and Beth's life forever. Things would never be the same, and we couldn't turn back. It turns out the people of Furore obsess over a unique type of polyphenol called GHG. Polyphenols are plant compounds that have been linked to dozens of health benefits. Yet GHG is extremely rare and powerful because it's one of the only polyphenols that's been proven to reduce fat tissue thickness by increasing lipase in your body. That's a scientific way of saying that GHG increases lipase in your cells. The more lipase you have in your cells, the more fat your body breaks down. The more fat your body breaks down, the more weight you lose, and the flatter your belly gets. That's the missing link that's been keeping you stuck for all these years. If you have 20 pounds or more to lose, then there's barely any lipase in your cells. That's just a fact, otherwise you'd be thinner. It's simple human biology. I know it sounds harsh, but it's true. And it's actually great news because now you know why you've been struggling to lose weight all these years. It's not because you're lazy and unmotivated. It's not because you can't control your appetite and you crave sugar. And it's not because you don't exercise enough. All you have to do is get more lipase into your cells and let it do all the hard work for you. Because its number one job is to break down fat. It's the difference between working hard and working smart. It's like an empty gas tank. Your car is not going to run without any gas in it. And your body is not going to burn fat without lipase in your cells. However, once the lipase is flowing freely, those deep pockets of fat covering your belly, surrounding your liver, pancreas, and your intestines, suffocating your heart, and hanging over your jeans, starts to disappear. Your thighs immediately start thinning out, your waistline effortlessly starts to shrink, the fat sagging off the back of your arms melts off and never comes back. Just like being bumped up to first class on a plane, you sit back and enjoy the ride. Now, while GHG is extremely powerful, it can't do everything alone. The next ingredient Doc shared with me was Caralluma fimbriata, or CF for short. No one knows about CF because it's been kept under wraps for decades. You see, it was used hundreds of years ago during times of famine to suppress your appetite. When there were food shortages, people would use CF so they weren't hungry or starving all the time. And it prevented them from overeating when they did have food. That way, they could ration their food over many months or even years. A side bonus is it also helps increase your metabolism while providing your body with plenty of clean, crisp energy. CF has been buried under the rug for decades because the big food companies want you to be hungry. They want you to crave their foods, sweets, and snacks. And if you were completely healthy with a normal appetite and no cravings, they would lose billions of dollars in lost revenue every single year. However, when you use it to regain control over your cravings and dial down hunger, you start dropping 1, 2, even 3 pounds per day because your body starts burning through all your stored fat. And you don't have to rely on any willpower or self-discipline to say no to the sugar, sweets, and treats. You just naturally don't crave them anymore. The last ingredient Doc shared with me is Nigella sativa, which I call NS for short. NS is a rare medical plant that's incredibly fascinating. The prestigious Asian Pacific Journal of Tropical Biomedicine calls it a miracle herb, and it's referenced in the Old Testament of the Bible. But that's not the most interesting part. NS was found in several sites from ancient Egypt, including King Tut's grave, because of its incredible healing properties. However, only in the last few years has it been put to the test when it comes to weight loss. The latest systematic review and meta-analysis of 13 different randomized control weight loss trials found that a quarter teaspoon of NS every day significantly reduced body weight and waist circumference for over 870 women and men who were struggling to lose weight. That's huge because these were 13 different studies with hundreds of people, men and women of all ages and body types, and time again, NS was melting away their belly fat, shrinking their waistlines, and causing the number on a scale to drop back like a brick off a skyscraper. Even the exclusive Journal of Diabetes and Metabolic Disorders found NS to be one of the most effective natural weight loss remedies that most people don't know about. All this sounded great, but I still wanted to see that it actually worked. And that's when Doc started showing me dozens of his patients who looked like completely different people in a matter of weeks. Women and men in their early 30s all the way up to their mid-80s and every age in between who came to him desperate for help because they were 50, 75, even 100 pounds overweight, and they were at a dead end because everything they tried failed miserably. Then, within days, you could see the changes in their face, their belly. They were losing weight faster than they ever thought possible. It's like the fat was being sucked right out of them. Within weeks, they were so much thinner, they looked younger, like 20 years had been wiped right off their bodies. The weight was just falling off. Before he left, Doc handed me a package. He said, "Here's the secret recipe I've been using with my patients. It's confidential, so don't share it with anyone. Then give me a call in 2 weeks." My heart was pounding, my palms were sweaty. I was so excited. For the first time in my life, I felt like there was realistic hope for Beth and I. I rushed home and I told Beth everything, and I'll be honest, I was a lot more excited than she was. She chalked it up to another fad diet that wasn't gonna work. But since I already had the recipe from Doc, she agreed to give it a shot. So the next morning, something unusual happened. Beth and I, we weren't hungry. We used to have a big breakfast because our stomachs were always rumbling after we wake up, but this time there was nothing. And we were bursting with energy, so we went on with our day. The next morning, I stepped on the scale and I was down 2.6 pounds. I didn't want to let myself get too excited because it could just be water weight, right? But I vowed not to step on the scale for the rest of the week because I didn't want to obsess about it. It's hard to explain, but I just started feeling lighter. My joints weren't as achy and my pants were starting to feel loose around the waist. And then something crazy happened. After just 1 week, I was down 11.7 pounds and 1 whole jean size. I felt incredible. My energy was at an all-time high, and I felt like I finally had my hunger and cravings in check. And then it just kept getting better. After 2 weeks, I was down 18.1 pounds. After the first month, I had dropped 25.4 pounds. When it was all said and done, I lost 51 pounds of pure raw fat, 10 inches off my belly, and 8 jean sizes. I was chasing my kids around the house, playing tag and baseball in the backyard. My 12-hour shifts as an EMT were becoming a cakewalk, and I was starting to get compliments everywhere I went. At the grocery store, getting my hair cut, when I take my shirt off at the pool, with my kids. I felt like I was 25 again. But that's not the best part, because while I was on board from the beginning, Beth didn't think it would work. I don't blame her, and when you've been burned so many times, you almost feel cursed. After the first day, I was a complete wreck. I was so nervous because I so desperately wanted it to work for her. She hates weighing herself, but after the first 5 days, I convinced her to step on the scale, and when she looked at the number, she almost fainted. In less than a week, she was already down 7.5 pounds, which is more than she lost in the last 8 years combined. She was still convinced the weight would come right back on. However, the exact opposite happened. In 2 weeks, she was down 13.8 pounds. After the first month, I thought our scale was broken because she lost 38 pounds and 5 jean sizes. Her stomach was flatter than ever, and her cellulite disappeared. Suddenly, she was buying new jeans, new tops, donating old clothes to the thrift store down the street. But that's not even the best part, because in a matter of months, she lost 69 pounds of toxic, stubborn fat to completely transform her life and save our marriage. Suddenly, you couldn't get us out of the bedroom. We went from refusing to be naked in front of each other to acting like it was our honeymoon all over again. Every week, the fat kept melting off, but the best part was rekindling the love in our marriage that we had let slip away. The spark was back, and it was stronger than ever. We were going out to restaurants, ordering whatever we wanted. Not worrying about calories or carbs or skipping dessert. It's like we finally had our lives back. The following week, I FaceTimed Doc, and the look on his face was worth $1 million. "John, is that really you?" asked Doc. "You look incredible. I looked at your labs. You lost 8 inches off your waist. Your blood pressure, blood sugar, and cholesterol are all extremely healthy, and those pockets of visceral fat have completely disappeared. You did a remarkable job." I was on cloud 9 after Doc gave me the good news, and I was even more excited for Beth. Even though she lost 69 pounds, that wasn't the best part for me. Seeing her fall back into the loving, caring, happy woman that I fell in love with, it just warmed my heart. Her sexy confidence, her carefree mood, her heart of gold, everything came back, and she finally felt like herself again. We started going for family walks after dinner, holding hands, staying up till midnight, cuddling in each other's arms, and talking the night away like we used to before we were married. I even started coaching my son's football team because I had so much extra energy after work. I wasn't just plopping down on the couch in front of the TV anymore. I was fully present and engaged in my kids' and my wife's life for the first time in years, making memories that will last a lifetime. Before saying goodbye to Doc, I had a crazy idea. His recipe was the only reason Beth and I turned our lives around. We really didn't change what we ate, and we didn't start exercising. It was the recipe that flipped on our lipase switch, so our bodies were finally breaking down the fat that was stuck and wouldn't budge for years. I knew it was my mission to get this recipe into the hands of as many people as possible. After all, it not only changed my life and Beth's life, it also transformed the hundreds of patients Doc had helped over the past 5 years. The most stubborn cases who couldn't lose a single pound despite huge calorie deficits, hours of exercise every day, and even fasting and skipping meals. Nothing worked until they started using the same recipe that melted 69 pounds off Beth's body in a matter of months. Like Sandra, who emailed and said, "I lost 48 pounds and 11 inches off my belly. Motherhood really took a toll on me physically and emotionally. I wanted to get the weight off, but I didn't know what to do. Everything seemed so hard and overwhelming." That's when I saw Beth's story on social media, and a voice inside just told me to go for it, so I did. After the first 3 days, I was already down 8 pounds, and that's when I was hooked. I threw away all my diet cookbooks, started eating normal again, and the fat kept melting off. But the best part is that I'm a completely different mom now, that I'm not worried and obsessed about my weight. It changed my life. Steve K also wrote in saying, "I lost 32 pounds after using this recipe. I was bouncing between jobs for the past 6 years. I just couldn't hold anything down, and the stress affected me big time. I wasn't eating right, and I was really down on myself. I just kept buying bigger jeans and bigger shirts, trying to hide my body." The part I like the most about this is how simple it is. There's no diet rules, you don't have to exercise if you don't want to, and now I can enjoy food, my stress is completely gone, and I've started dating again. I couldn't sleep at night if I didn't do everything in my power to help people just like Beth and I, who were desperately struggling with our weight, and slowly killing ourselves without even knowing it. So that night we worked out a plan, and Doc agreed to share his recipe with the world. I started calling manufacturing, shipping, and supply companies to see who could produce this recipe at a mass scale. Unfortunately, every company I talked to was a dead end. They wanted tens of thousands of dollars, and I get it because these ingredients are so rare and have to be shipped in from halfway across the world. It gets expensive really fast. Just when I thought we were out of hope, I got a call from a small manufacturing company in the US. They saw Beth's transformation on social media and they wanted to help. 6 months later, after working through a lot of red tape, we had the entire recipe in a small, easy-to-swallow capsule that we called Energia, which in Furore means to release energy. That's exactly what your fat cells are doing when they release the extra fat that's been stuck around your belly, hips, and thighs for months, years, or even decades. Energia is the first and only recipe that targets the root cause of stubborn belly fat, deadly visceral fat, and premature aging, with its unique combination of plant ingredients that fill your cells with fat-burning lipase. This rare mix cannot be found anywhere else in the world because Doc and his lawyers made sure no one else can use, steal, or rip off this recipe. Each Energia capsule is manufactured right here in the United States. It's put through rigorous third-party testing under GMP best practices and guidelines to make sure every capsule is packed with only the purest GHG, Caralluma fimbriata, and Nigella sativa in the world. There are absolutely no sugars, artificial sweeteners, fillers, or fake chemicals included. The truth is, nothing like this has ever been created before. It's one of a kind, which is exactly what Beth and I needed because nothing else ever worked for us.
So if you've been struggling even just to lose a few pounds, if your belly hangs over your jeans and no amount of clean eating, exercise, or cutting carbs ever makes a difference, if you hate exercise or simply can't do it because of your physical condition, and you want something that's easy, simple, and works extremely fast, then Energia isn't just the best answer for you, it's the only answer. Over 70,000 women and men of all ages from all over the world have already experienced incredible results using Energia, and you've heard from a handful of them today, which means you're not doing this alone. We're a tight-knit community that supports, motivates, and builds each other up. Because we've all been in your shoes before. Some of us just a couple weeks ago. That's how fast things can change when you focus on what works and ignore the rest. This is the missing piece. And I know it was for Beth and I and thousands of others. Because keto, low carb, cardio, and fasting never did a single thing. Yet when I started using Energia, my weight started dropping the first day. So if you're ready for something big, something that will change your life forever, so you can finally get off the diet roller coaster and stop yo-yoing once and for all, then it all starts right here, right now. You have to make a choice whether you want things to keep going the way they are, or if you want something better for yourself. And since you made it this far, I know you want something more. If you keep doing what you've been doing, nothing is ever going to change. Each minute that passes by is another minute you're never going to get back, which means there's no time to waste living in a body where you don't feel sexy, confident, and happy. I wish Doc would have told me about this sooner because I wasted so many years on things that just didn't matter, like counting calories and tracking them on my phone, forcing myself to run 3 miles a day when I hated every second of it, joining a gym while everyone stared at me as I jiggled through my workouts. 20 years of my life frustrated, sad, and depressed because I couldn't figure this out. And it wasn't until I tried something completely different and outside the box that everything changed. That's why I want to do everything I possibly can to help you, because I was in your shoes less than a year ago. You see, after Beth and I started losing so much weight, we became kind of micro celebrities in our neighborhood and around town. Plus, after Beth's transformation went viral on social media, the word started to spread like crazy. And all of a sudden, we were getting emails, direct messages, and texts from people all over the world. Within 4 hours, our website crashed and we completely sold out because people were constantly ordering up to 6 bottles of Energia at a time. Which makes sense because when something is proven to work with thousands of people all over the world of all different shapes and sizes, then you really want to stock up so you never run out. Which is why I set aside 6 bottles of Energia at our biggest discount ever just for you. But you have to act now before we run out of stock again. You see, the more you use Energia, the more fat you burn, and the more energized, youthful, and confident you feel. However, since Beth's video went viral, our orders have just shot through the roof, which means we're always running the risk of running out of stock at any given moment. Look, I'm just a regular guy from Georgia. I'm not a venture capitalist or famous businessman with millions of dollars to invest in unlimited inventory and acres of warehouse space. And with everything that's going on in the world today, shipping and the world's supply chain is just a complete mess. That's why it can take anywhere from 4 to 6 months to get our next shipment in, because we only use the most pure and powerful ingredients, and we test everything, and we just simply refuse to cut corners, which means you only get the purest form of Energia inside every single capsule. I don't want you to have to wait another 6 months to finally melt off all the unwanted fat, embarrassing cellulite, and deadly visceral fat. because by then it might be too late. So as long as you take action right now, you can claim up to 6 bottles at our biggest discount ever. It cost over $20,000 to get our first batch of Energia just the way we wanted it, which came to $145 per bottle. If you think about it, that's a complete steal to get rid of the belly fat that's been dragging you down for most of your life. I mean, heck, a personal trainer charges that much for a measly 1-hour session that, doesn't really do anything. And for some people, that's less than their copay to go see their doctor because our insurance system is a complete mess meant to rip you off. While a 30-day supply of Energia can melt away 10, 20, or even 30 pounds of pure stubborn fat, however, that price just didn't sit right with Beth and me. I mean, I love my job as an EMT, and I'm not here to get rich or take people's money. So we took the original $145 price tag and cut it in half, and then we took another 40% off after that. That means when you claim your 6-month supply of Energia right here, right now, you're going to pay just $34 per bottle. That's just $1.09 per day to get rid of your belly fat, smooth out your cellulite, take back your energy, and restore the vitality and self-confidence that's been bubbling beneath the surface, ready to shine through. This is the biggest discount there will ever be for Energia, and it's only reserved for you right here, right now, because I can tell you're serious since you've stuck with me for this long. I know you're an action taker, I know you want to make a change, and I know you want a better life for yourself and your family, and all that starts with you, your health, and your well-being. Because without that, nothing else matters. You have to be selfish for once and take care of yourself first. Otherwise, you may not be here to see your kids or your grandkids grow up, graduate high school, get married, and start families of their own. None of us are guaranteed tomorrow, so if you've tried everything under the sun and nothing seems to ever work, no matter how hard you try or how much you sacrifice, then it's time to try something new. Something that's been proven to work, not only with Beth and me, but with thousands of others around the world who are shocking their doctors by using this simple fat-burning protocol that most people don't know about. I've cut out all the middlemen. This is the best and lowest price Energia will ever be. I don't want to rush you, but the clock is ticking because there are hundreds of people in line right behind you right now. And if you pass on this, then your discount will go to them. Because in the end, I just want to help as many people as humanly possible, which is why I was so vulnerable in sharing mine and Beth's story with you here today. To get started, simply select the 6-month supply of Energia below or whichever option works best for you. You'll be taken to our 100% secure order form where your discount will be automatically applied. Then, you'll receive a confirmation email from us and your shipment will be on its way. The truth is, all of our bodies are different, so you may be still wondering if Energia will work this well for you, and I completely understand. That's why, if for some strange reason Energia doesn't work for you, then you pay absolutely nothing. That's how Beth and I do business. For the next 60 days, you can try out Energia for yourself. I'd recommend having 1 to 2 capsules in the morning and another capsule before bed if you have 25 pounds or more to lose. That way, it's going to break down your fat even faster. If for any reason you're not completely satisfied, then just let us know and you'll get a full and prompt refund with no questions asked. And to be 100% honest and transparent, this is not a membership or an auto ship program. That means you'll never automatically be charged for additional bottles of Energia. You will not be put on an automatic shipping program every month, and you will never be sent bottles of Energia that you didn't order. I hate those programs as much as you do, but you have to act now to lock in your savings and
Say goodbye to your belly fat once and for all. Simply choose the 6-month supply below, and you can say goodbye to miserable starvation diets and exhausting, back-breaking workouts forever. Now, the truth is, your time is almost up. I can't hold on to these discounted bottles for you forever. It just wouldn't be fair to everyone else. It's time for you to make a choice for yourself, a choice for your family, and a choice that will determine the rest of your life. Because the truth is, you really only have 2 options. Option number 1 is you can ignore everything you heard here today. You can ignore my story, Beth's story, all the scientific research, case studies, and real life results. You can ignore all of that and simply go back to what you've been doing. That's perfectly fine, and it is your right. However, if you've stuck with me this far, I know you want more. More for yourself, more for your family, and more for your life. The other option is you can take the easy way out, take all the hard work that Beth and I have already done to create the most powerful fat-burning formula in the world that flips on your lipase switch in every single one of your cells so you can start burning fat around the clock, no matter your age, no matter your current physical condition, and no matter how much weight you have to lose. Your body wants to burn fat. It wants you to be healthy. And when you give it the fuel it needs, it'll do all the hard work for you. That's how our bodies are designed. If you have extra fat on your body, you've simply been blocking this process without even knowing it. Well, that all stops today. It's time to let yourself off the hook. It's not your fault. But now that you know why your body has been holding on to so much extra fat, and now that you know how to get rid of it without hours of cardio or high intensity workouts, without obsessing over calories and carbs, and without going on some crash diet that ruins your metabolism and makes you even more miserable, the choice is now 100% up to you. You can go back to what you've been doing, which hasn't been working, otherwise you wouldn't be here right now. Or you can let Beth and I personally help you so you'll never be overweight for another day in your life. But you have to take the first step. It might seem scary, I know, but Beth and I are here to guide you, and our team will help you every step of the way. You are not doing this alone. However, you do have to act right now. This is your last chance. Simply choose the 6-month supply below, or whichever option works best for you, and get ready to say goodbye to your nagging belly fat for good. Your discount expires in less than 2 minutes. Make the best decision for you. Remember, there's no risk because you're backed by our 60-day, 100% money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose and a brand new life to gain. Hey, are you still here? I get it. We've covered a lot today, and you might still have some questions. Well, here are some of the questions I've received about Energia. How does Energia work? Energia is the only formula in the world that combines GHG, Nigella sativa, and Caralluma fimbriata to flip on the lipase switch inside your cells. Remember, lipase is the enzyme in your body that breaks down fat, which means if you have extra fat on your belly, hips, or thighs, that's a clear sign that you don't have enough lipase in your cells. It's asleep at the wheel. Your body simply is not producing enough of it. It's like you're crawling through the desert without any water. However, when you use these 3 very powerful plant nutrients, they help turn on your lipase switch. So you start burning 1, 2, even 3 pounds or more every day without having to go on another diet ever again. Question: am I too old for this to work? As long as you're alive and you can hear the sound of my voice right now, then no, you are not too old for this to work. We've had women and men in their early 30s, all the way up to their late 80s, all shapes and sizes and body types. Whatever you decide to do moving forward, just know that you're never too old to get the body of your dreams. How fast will I see results?
Everyone's different, and anyone who says they know exactly how much weight you'll lose is not being honest with you. However, from my personal experience, along with helping others for the past year, most people feel a difference within the first 24 hours, and they start seeing visible results shortly after that. But it all depends on how consistent you are. You can't take one Energia for one day and expect to lose 50 pounds. The more consistent you are, the better and faster your results will be. Question: is my discount still available? Yes, if you order right now, your discount will automatically be applied to your order. However, if you choose to leave without ordering, then your discount will be given to the next person in line. Question: how does your money-back guarantee work? For the next 60 days, if you are unsatisfied for any reason, big or small, then simply let us know and you'll be given a full and prompt refund with no questions asked. That way, you only pay for it if it works for you, which means all the risk is on us, just the way it should be. However, you have to order right now in order to get your discount. So go ahead and order this 6-month supply if you want to save the most and burn the most fat, or choose whichever option is best for you. Thank you for listening and have a great day.